They say scalping is dead. They say it's gambling, chaos, a fast track to blowing your account. But let me tell you something, they said the same thing about anyone who ever went against convention. The same people who preach caution are the ones who never stood in front of real risk. Never stared at the chart with shaking hands and clicked anyway. Scalping's not dead. It's just been buried beneath layers of fear, mediocrity, and recycled advice from traders who never made it off the simulator. The truth is scalping isn't a strategy. It's a mindset. It's survival, refined, sharpened, unapologetically fast. If you've ever scalped the open, lived through 5 red candles, and still held your breath steady for the next setup, you already know. You already feel it. That pulse, that focus, that war room calm in the middle of a hurricane. Because scalping demands that you evolve. Demands you become more than a pattern hunter. It forces you to become a different version of yourself. Faster, sharper, emotionally bulletproof. And here's the part they won't tell you. Scalping doesn't teach you how to trade. Scalping teaches you how to feel the market. That raw, unfiltered intuition, the kind that comes after hours and hours of silent observation, that doesn't come from watching a 5-minute EMA crossover. It comes from the 1-minute chart, from watching how liquidity forms, how buyers and sellers dance, how traps are set and sprung in seconds. You learn to see the rhythm that others miss. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But most won't make it that far, because scalping strips you down to your barest instincts. It reveals your flaws with surgical precision. You can't fake discipline here. You can't hide behind wide stops or timeframe lag. Every click is exposure. Every tick reveals what you fear, what you crave, what you still don't understand about yourself. And maybe that's why it's beautiful. Because if you can stand in that fire, if you can take losses like a scientist, not a gambler, and still show up tomorrow with clean eyes and a clear plan, then you're already further than 95% of traders will ever get. Let's talk psychology. Because strategies are sold by the dozen. Everyone's got a system, but no one's selling you mental resilience. No one's telling you the truth. That what you need isn't a better entry. What you need is emotional capacity. Scalping trains this the hard way. It forces you to take micro losses, to be okay with missed moves, to recognize that your success isn't tied to any single trade, but to how well you can repeat discipline in real time. Think about this. Can you walk away green even if the market keeps running? Can you sit out when your setup appears, but the context doesn't align? That restraint, that's where your edge lives. It's not in the candles. It's in the space between action and reaction. The silence between the stimulus and the click. Let's drop the myth that scalping is too hard. What they really mean is scalping is too honest. There's no place to hide your flaws. You either show up clean or you bleed. Most don't want to hear that. They want comfort. They want a one-size-fits-all system they can follow blindly. But you came here because you know better. You came here because you feel that this game is a mirror. That every chart isn't just data. It's a psychological X-ray. It's exposing your fears of missing out, your habit of overtrading, your addiction to being right instead of being profitable. And still, you keep showing up. Good. Let them talk. Let them criticize. Let them mock the 1-minute chart like it's a slot machine. Because you know what they don't, you know that in those tiny movements there's a language. A language of liquidity, of aggression, of patience and panic. You're not gambling. You're translating. Reading a language that's invisible to those still obsessed with holy grails and lagging lines. And while they're stuck waiting for candle confirmations, you're already in and out, surgical, silent, effective. Let's get tactical. Because you can't survive without a structure. Scalping without a system is like skydiving with no parachute. You'll feel a rush, sure, until you realize you're falling with nothing to catch you. So build the blueprint. Pick 2 to 3 core setups. Not 10. Not 20. Just a few that you've backtested, forward-tested, and lived through. Master them until you know how they feel, how they smell, how they fail. Build triggers, confirmations, invalidations. Be precise. Be obsessed. Trade like a craftsman, not a cowboy. Structure isn't optional. It's your lifeline. Know exactly when you're allowed to trade and when you aren't. If the market structure is unclear, you don't trade. If volatility is too high or too low, you don't trade. You don't press because you're bored. You don't enter because of FOMO. You follow your playbook like your account depends on it, because it does. Risk management? Let's not sugarcoat it. Most traders treat risk like an afterthought. They know their ideal size but ignore it when greed whispers. They stack positions emotionally. They chase after losses. They forget that protecting capital is a position too. In scalping, size is everything. One oversized position can tilt your psychology. Tilted psychology ruins execution. And ruined execution? That's how you lose weeks in a single morning. So here's the rule. Keep your risk flexible but never arbitrary. Learn how to read volatility. Reduce size on choppy sessions. Be more aggressive only when context screams in your favor. And even then, measure it. Preserve yourself like a chess master. Burnout is real. Liquidity is forever. Wait for your moment, because when it comes, you'll know. There's a rhythm to it. You'll feel it in your chest before your cursor moves. That calm before the trade. That razor-edge stillness. And you'll execute not with hesitation, but with conviction. That's what scalping gives you when you respect it. It gives you instinct born from process. Now let's talk about evolution, because scalping doesn't just change your strategy. It changes your identity. It rewires how you see time, risk, opportunity. Suddenly you don't overstay winners. You exit like a surgeon. You don't chase green days, you build them. Candle by candle. Trade by trade. And what starts as market discipline starts bleeding into life. You wake up earlier. You study longer. You learn to say no to distractions. The market is now a mirror showing you who you really are. You begin to respect the grind, the repetition, the ritual, because scalping isn't a shortcut to wealth. It's the long road to mastery traveled fast under pressure. You'll lose sometimes. A lot, actually. But every loss is tuition. Every drawdown is data. You're not just learning to trade. You're learning how to rebuild, how to endure, how to trust yourself again. That's the journey. And along the way, something happens. You stop idolizing indicators. You stop switching strategies. You stop asking for confirmation. Because, you've built enough data, enough experience. You're no longer reacting. You're responding. That's power. That's independence. And that's what they don't want you to find. Because when you become self-sufficient, the gurus lose their grip. The educators lose their edge. They can't sell you hope anymore. You've already found it. So here's your framework. Your blueprint. Your creed. 2 or 3 setups. Mastered. Log every trade. Study the context, not just the outcome. Record your screen. Spot your habits. Fix your flaws. Create rituals. Morning routine. Trade prep. Post-trade review. Simulate stress. Learn under pressure. Build mental calluses. Size with respect. Risk like a professional. Focus on process. Trust your edge. Detach from the noise. Because scalping isn't random. It's art. It's music at high speed. Chaos, choreographed. And if you can see that, feel that, then you're ready. Ready to stop following. Ready to start building. Because the truth is, they don't want you scalping like this. But you're not here for approval. You're here to win.